In today's video, we'll be learning the 3 reasons why you need to use Postwork, when to use Postwork, and the 3 different methods that are going to dramatically improve your renders using Postwork. As a bonus, I will also be sharing my process on how I use Postwork to enhance my renders to show you what's possible when you apply Postwork to your renders. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Palmy and this channel is designed to help you to master DAZSTUDIO and create the best 3D digital artwork you can with DAZSTUDIO. Now in today's tutorial, we're going to be covering Postwork. I feel like Postwork is the most under-talked part of your process for DAZSTUDIO to create your amazing renders. Postwork is going to add amazing value to your renders. It's going to allow you to do so much more. It's going to allow you to save time. It's going to allow you to 10x your renders, really go to the next level of your development. And that's what we're going to be learning in this tutorial. So before we dive into the methods, very simple methods that I'm going to be talking you through and going into my method, how I use Postwork, I want to really go over the why. Why should you use Postwork? What is the underlying reason to do so? How is it going to benefit your renders? Because once we know the why, we have a powerful reason to do something, you're more likely to implement and take action. That's what I want for you to do, is take action from this tutorial, understand your reason why you're doing this, and then you're going to use your Postwork to enhance your renders. That's what I want for you. We're going to learn the why, and then the how doesn't matter, because once you have a powerful reason why to do something, you'll find a way, the how, the method to do it. So reason number 1 is the professionals do it. Professional photographers use Postwork. They take photographs as shown in this example here on this website. This is a professional photographer. Here's the before, here's the after. They use it. So why shouldn't you? If you think about it, technically, you are like a photographer. You are setting up your character inside DAZSTUDIO. You are setting up your scene. You are hitting the blue render button. You are technically creating a image, just like you do with a camera. You would press the button on your camera and it takes a snapshot of whatever is coming through that lens. That is what you are doing as well. And that is what this person is doing as well. So as we scroll down, you can see the before and afters, right? You can see the before on the left, how it is. So this is, imagine your render coming out, it's looking like this. And then after you've done some Postwork, it looks like this. And that's the amazing things you can do with Postwork. Let me show you some more examples of professionals. So here's some before here. Like, look at the way that looks kind of boring. And here's the after. What they've done with the Postwork here, what they've added, how they've changed the mood, the style of the actual image here that they've taken. Let's go down a bit more. Here's a portrait. Some of you love doing portraits. Here's a fantastic example of portraits. Here's the before. Not very great lighting. Here's the after. Look what they've done. They've really made it stand out and really made it look unique with those skills they have with Postwork. Let's go down a bit more. Here we have some more portraits here. So we have the before and we have the after. This is inside a studio. So inside a studio, they've got the correct lighting. They don't have to worry about that. And they've enhanced it. They've enhanced the colors here. They've changed the colors of the hair here. They've enhanced the lighting, the eyes as well, make them shine. The everything here, they've done this. They've all done this using Postwork. This is the power of Postwork. And then here, the last example I want to show you are professionals. Here's the before and here's the after. Look what they've done in Postwork. So this is the impact Postwork can have on your renders. So I just wanted to show you, if professionals are doing it, professional photographers, why shouldn't you be using it as well? You should definitely be using it if professionals are using it, because that is how you get better. You look at the professionals, you see what they're doing, and then you're going to implement that into your process to create better renders, to create that better output that you desire for yourself. Now, the second reason you would use Postwork is to fix poking, especially when you're using D-Force. You will get poking of clothing. That's going to happen regardless. When you hit that blue render button, you will get poking, or you'll get some sort of poking from your clothing. You can save time by fixing it in Postwork. You don't have to re-render that whole scene again, or that particular spot render that you have to do. You're going to be saving time, and that's what Postwork is going to allow you to do. So here's a quick example of a scene. The book I'm working on right now, Tiger Angle Rebirth, that book has been completed. Now I'm working on book 2. And you can see here, here's the before. So here you've got poking here, you've got poking here and here as well, right? Where it's intersecting, the clothing's intersecting with the other clothing beneath. So I fixed that, as you can see here, with the Postwork here, so you couldn't tell, right? You didn't know where the poking was. Here's the before, where's the poking. Now, if you have a look, like specifically here is probably the worst part. If you keep focusing here on this section here, when I turn it on, there, right, it's fixed. You never noticed there was poking there. That is the power of Postwork again, saving time and allowing you to do much more with your time with fixing poking. So that's another reason to use Postwork, to fix that poking, the clothing intersection. That's going to save you time. And time is the most valuable resource you have. And the third reason you want to use Postwork is it gives you more control. Because inside DAZSTUDIO, as you can see here with the tone mapping, you've got certain amount of control here with Postwork. So things like vignetting, things like doing the brightness higher, your film ISO, you got the highlights, the crushing blacks, the saturation, the gamma, the white point scale. There's only a certain amount of control you have with that. Once you set those particular settings, that is it. You cannot change those, as in you press the render button, that is your finalized render. And in order to re-render your scene again, you'll have to change these settings and hit render again. Again, you're kind of like wasting time because you're doing it twice, right? Or 3 times or 4 times. How many times you're trying to get it right? It's not a best use of your time. So what you could do is leave this as it is, these settings as they are in the tone mapping, hit that render button or get it as close as you can to the way you want it, and then take this render into your favorite photo editing software and apply the Postwork settings there. Apply the vignetting there, apply the extra brightness there, apply the highlights, and apply the saturation, remove the gamma, what you want to do, whatever you want to do, change the white point scale, change the color grading, whatever you want to do, you can do that in Postwork. So you get so much more control with Postwork. That's a third reason. Again, it's allowing you to save time. It allows you to have more control with the aspect of your particular render, creating the vision you have in your mind of that image, and Postwork is allowing you to do that with more control. So when should you do this Postwork process? Obviously, you would do it at the end of your process. So you would, as soon as you've hit the render button here, DAZSTUDIO has created that render, you take it straight away into your favorite photo editing software and get started. The reason why I want you to do it straight away is because you take that energy, that excitement, that momentum you have. You've been working on this render for days, hours, and you're excited. You've hit the blue render button. You've got the render the way you want it to look like. And you're going to take that positive energy into your favorite photo editing software and transform it using the tools inside that software. That's what I want for you to do, is to add it to the end of your process and do it as soon as possible, taking that positive energy you have, that powerful energy, that momentum, using that energy in a way to transform the existing amazing render you already have and put it into your favorite photo editing software, using those tools to make it even better. Let's now move on to the methods on how you can enhance your existing amazing renders. The software I'm using here, just to show you, is a free one called Paint.net. Now this is a free version. It's got enough for you to get started. If you want to dive deeper, then yes, I highly recommend going and purchasing or investing in Photoshop, Lightroom, or whatever you want to invest into. Affinity, I think, is another one you have to pay for. But if you just want to stay with GIMP, Paint.net, or whatever you want to stay with free, there is enough to get you started as a beginner. And that's what this is all about. This is all about getting you excited, getting you started. So you will start adding this to your process at the end of your rendering process, right? Your whole process, you have your render and then you go into your Postwork process. This is going to add to it. So I specifically chose this render here. It's an old render back in 24th of March 2020 is when I created this, a long time ago. Now I specifically chose this bad render because I want to show you how good this bad render can look with some Postwork applied. And then this will get you excited and thinking about, if my bad renders can look this good, how great are my good renders going to look? And that's what I want you to start thinking about when you are watching this tutorial and thinking about your renders. Is like, how great can my renders look, even the bad ones? So let's get started and go through this very quickly. What I like to do with Paint.net is to duplicate the initial layer, which is this one here. Now this is not a deep dive into Paint.net on how to use it. I'm just going to show you the dramatic changes you can make just to get you excited, and then you can take it from there, right? Extend your learning from this. Go to the YouTube channels that have Paint.net if you want to dive deeper into there, or dive in deeper into GIMP, or dive deeper into Photoshop when we move into Photoshop. Choose your tool of choice and then use it effectively to get the outcome you desire or get the results that you desire. So we've got a duplicate here of my image. I'm going to go to adjustments and I'm going to go to highlights and shadows. Right, highlights and shadows. So what I want to do is, it depends what you want to do, is I'm going to show you the difference it can make, even with very, very small changes. So I'm going to reduce the highlights because it's quite a bright scene. I'm going to reduce the shadows as well. So just going to go over this very quickly here. Something like that. And already you're probably seeing some amazing changes, right? If you're paying attention, you can see the changes we've already made. So I'm going to just stick with something like that is okay. Right, that is okay. Now, you probably can't see much difference here on YouTube. What I'm going to do is put the before and after of these images available in the link in the description down below, so you can have a look at them just to see how different they are. So that's the before image and that's the after. Do you see the slight difference there? Very subtle, like the chest here is a bit more clearer here. This here is more clear, more clarity here, more clearance. We've removed some of that brightness that we had before. So you can see the difference. The before here, it's all like washed out. Here we've got more tone, more difference. We can even see like the chin, the jawline here, the kind of stubble here a bit more. That's the difference Postwork can make, right? I didn't even use like half the tools in this program, Paint.net, but I've just made a dramatic difference with that one simple change. Let's move on to this example here where we've got a female character and the lighting is very dark. So I want to show you the two differences where we've got the lighting here very bright, overexposed, and then we've got the lighting here very dark, and still we can make a profound difference to this image. Again, this image was actually created in 28th of Jan 2020, a long time ago. You can see the image is pretty old, like very, very early on in my DAZSTUDIO journey. Let's just see how good we can make it with Paint.net, right? Free program. So here we're going to duplicate the layer again. I'm going to go to effects, and this time I'm going to go to photo and I'm going to go to glow. Okay, and you can see here, just move this out of the way, that it's too bright, right? I don't want it that bright. So what I'm going to do is just tone down the brightness a bit. I'm going to reduce that contrast a bit. So let's have a look. Something like that. Yes, something like that looks pretty good. So I'm going to click OK, right? So again, here's the before, here's the after. Here's the before, here's the after. Again, link in the description down below. If you want to see the before and afters, you can have a closer look at them. Look at the dramatic change. It's ridiculous, right? The dramatic change Postwork has done there. What would I have had to do if I had to go back into DAZSTUDIO? I would have to go back into DAZSTUDIO, load that render, change the lighting settings, change everything. Again, wasting time when I can easily do it in Photoshop or in a photo editing software like Paint.net. So that's just the power of using the basic tools inside any image or photo editing software. Use the basic tools, right? I haven't even touched half of these effects here. There's loads here that comes with Paint.net and it's free, right? There's loads of options here that you can change. That's the power of Postwork, just showing you the real basics. Use the basics inside photo editing software. You don't have to use the fancy things Lightroom has or Photoshop has or Affinity has or whatever paid product is out there. The basics are good enough as shown here for you. So hopefully that's got you excited on how you can make your renders better with Postwork. The second method you can use to enhance your renders is to use filters. Now filters are like predefined settings. They're just predefined settings. You don't have to do much. You just click on the filter, change a few settings, and half of the job is done for you. You don't have to have a million settings to get to that. There's like one predefined filter that you like and then you apply it. So the one I use inside Photoshop a lot is this one here, which is Nick Collection Tools, and is this one here, Color Effects Pro 4. This is the one I use a lot. This is the one that I've set up my presets for my graphic novel. So you can see some of the filters here. So when I go to Color Effects Pro here, you can see all the different categories. You got landscape, wedding, architecture. I've got my favorites, nature, portrait, travel. So you can just click on these, and these are all preset filters giving you some options here that you can play around with it or experiment with. So this is another way of doing it, and you can see the dramatic changes, the kind of like before on the left and the after, how much difference it makes with these filters. And then obviously you can define these filters a bit more if you want to, so you can play around with these, experiment here with these. So you can do all these amazing things here. So filters is another way. Color Effects Pro 4, when I downloaded it 3-4 years ago, was free. I don't think there's a free version available now. I think the latest version is like 5 or 6 Nick collection tools, but there are a lot of other programs that are available to add these effects. So look out for those. If you know of any, put the comment down below so you can share that with anybody else who's watching the video. But again, very, very simple tool. You get the filters and then off you go. You can create whatever you want to create. You can change, very simple, very easy. Even something like landscape, we can go through and really play around with these settings. There's loads of things you could do with these filters. You just find the filter that you like and then you can make the necessary changes. So filters is another great method that you can use to enhance your existing amazing render. And then the third method you can use is called LUTs. LUTs is short for lookup tables. Now lookup tables are used for color grading, which is used for videography. So we can use these in Photoshop, in Lightroom. I'm not too sure. I don't think Paint.net supports LUTs, which is why I'm not showing you in Paint.net. But these are like lookup tables. So let me show you an example of what it looks like inside Photoshop. So I'll go to Adjustments. I go to this color lookup table, and then I've got a list here. These are all the different lookup tables, and when I click on them, you can see they change the color. I don't have to do anything. There's not like a million settings I need to change. It's just like a lookup table with predefined color grading. So as I go down the list, you'll see it change a lot. Now, obviously this is set to 100% here in terms of the power of it. So let me just tone it down a bit to something like 70%. So it doesn't look too garish, but you can see the difference it makes. These lookup tables make it very easy for you to change the way your render looks, to enhance your render using Postwork. So this is like half the work done for you. You don't need to go through like a million settings. For example, you don't need to change the brightness, the contrast, the hue, the saturation, the levels, all these things. This is like a quick way to add, or rather make your renders better using the lookup table. So this is very, very easy to use. I'll put a link in the description down below where I got these lookup tables from. So I'll put that down below as well. You can check that out. You can download it. And if you've got Photoshop or Lightroom, I think Affinity Photo allows you to use lookup tables. You can use this to dramatically change your renders. And that's what I want for you, to make them even better than they already are. So you can just see how amazing this character looks just by changing. I haven't done anything, right? I'm just cycling through the different lookup tables here, and the one I like I'll keep, and then I can use that as my base. So now I'm going to share with you my Postwork process, which is very simple. I make it as simple as possible. I use Photoshop. That is my preferred choice, my method here. So let me talk you through my process. What I generally do when I'm creating panels for my graphic novels, what I do is I have two normally. I have two renders. I have the main render, which is the actual render with just the normal lighting that I need. And then I will add catch lights. So catch lights here to get those lights for the eyes, to make my characters look more realistic, more believable, like they're alive. Otherwise, if you don't have the catch lights, they look kind of dead. And I don't want that. I want them to be like living human beings, for example. That's why I have these catch lights here. So I have this. Then what I'll do, I will apply a mask. Now masking is the basics of Photoshop. You understand masking, you could do so many things. So masking is something that is critical to your Postwork process. It's going to really help you to have more control. So what I will do is I will normally create a mask, and I will remove those lights that I've created, so you can't see them anymore, as you can see. Then what I will do is I will here, as you can see here, layer 6, I will use my Color Effects Pro 4 settings, which I can show you, not a problem. So let me show you that setting, my own comic book setting that I've done. So there it is, Comics 2, here it is. And these are the settings that I've got. More than happy to share my settings with you. So I've got like tonal contrast setting here, and then I've got my pro contrast setting here. And then I've got my detail extractor setting here, which brings out the details of the particular elements in this render. So that's what I would apply. Now, because it's a nighttime scene, what I'm going to do, there's too much brightness here. So because it's a nighttime scene, I've used another filter, which is from Color Effects Pro 4, which makes everything darker. So I've made it all darker here, and it looks more like a nighttime scene now. So if you go into that Color Effects Pro 4 filter that I've used, you can see the filter views, which is called low key, and I've made the necessary changes I wanted to make it low. So you can see this is the before without it, and on the right you can see the difference it makes after. So that's how I use it for my graphic novel. By the way, if you're interested or know anybody who likes superhero stories, then send them my way. Link in the description down below for that. I create superhero stories that are entertaining, empowering, and inspiring, that are going to help you to achieve your goals. It's all about positivity. I want you to achieve your goals, and these superhero stories are going to help you to do that, because that's what superhero stories are designed to do. So link in the description down below for that. So that's more like a simple thing. There's not many, if you have a look at the layers compared to when you go to some Photoshop tutorials, they have like, the professionals have like about 50 layers and groups and things. You don't need that. Simplicity is where it's at. It's not always about doing a lot. Actually, less is more. So in this case, less is more. As you can see, there's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 layers, right? 4 layers, that's it, is to create the effect I want, because I did the majority of my work inside DAZSTUDIO. So another example I want to show you is actually from book 2 that I'm working on right now. This is a bit more advanced example, more like extreme example, where I had to do multiple things. So let's go through this right now. So let me just undo all these. Okay. So here's the original render of this kind of like ghostly figure here. And then what I did here for this second layer here is we've got our characters, but I've got a mask for them. Okay, I've masked them out. And then the third layer here, I've got another mask here for this, right? So I can have, again, can you see the catch lights here? If I disable this layer here, there's the catch lights, right? So this character looks more like alive. Without the catch lights, she doesn't look very alive, and that's very, very important to me when I'm creating my renders, which I've noticed a lot, is you kind of get those catch lights in the eyes of your character. They look more believable, more alive. So let me enable that layer. So look, when I turn it off, see how the character looks there? It looks, well, it looks okay, but I prefer it with the lights so they look more realistic, more believable. And then the next layer here, you can see I've done quite a bit here to this layer. I've added a lot of filters. I've got a wave filter, Color Effects Pro 4, and again and again. So you can see what happens when I turn it on. This character here, I've got more control over this character. What have I done with this character here? I've made it more wavy, right, this character, using the mask here. And I've also changed the color of this because I wasn't happy with that color. I couldn't get the right color inside DAZSTUDIO, but I knew because of the skills I have with my Postwork, I can change that in Postwork, so I'm not concerned about that. So that's why it's all gray here, which gives me a great baseline for me to change the color of this character to whatever I want to. So that's what I did. I made it more blue. This red is more predominant now as well in here. These are all the things you can do in Postwork. And then the next layer here, we've got another Color Effects Pro 4 filter. Made it a little bit darker, right? Because I didn't like it. It was too bright. You make it a little bit darker. And then we've got the final one here, which is actually layer 7. There it is. And I've reduced the opacity of this to make it look more ghostly. And then we've added the traditional Color Effects Pro 4 filter, which is going to be that comics layer here, right? This comics filter that I've created, which is this here, which is what we're using to enhance all the details. You can see the details here on this like cloak here. See the before here, see the after. You can see even here on the skin, we got a bit more detail here, like the skin looks a bit better as well. So that is how I use, in the extreme sense, like one of the most extreme panels from book 2 was this one. It took a very long time to do, lots of renders, but that's how I wanted to create my scene, so I had more control. So this is where we're talking about more control, the more extreme example, just to show you how far you can push it if you want to. If you want to go into the more advanced kind of like Postwork or intermediate, this is what is possible for you. So let's move on to one of the other examples, which I was talking about, as poking, right? You're going to get poking as we have here in this really bad render here that I did a long time ago. How can we fix this in Postwork? So what I will do is use the tools inside Photoshop. Now I don't know if Paint.net has this tool because I don't really use it all the time. I use Photoshop. Is we have this tool here called Healing Brush. Now because it's actually, when I zoom in here, you can see because the clothing is black, you can fix it in a multitude of ways. So I can use the healing brush here and use Alt and then use like a sample here, and then I can just fix that, right? I can just go over and fix that. Make the brush bigger here and I can just fix it because it's black, right? There's no pattern to this. It's very straightforward, very simple. I could just go here, get a sample, and then I can go back out to full screen, and you would never know it was there. You would never know that existed. It was never there to begin with. You would never have no idea. So that's very easy. Poking where the clothing is very like one color. There's no detail to it. It's just a black color. Very easy, very simple. So how about when we move to something like this, where we have clothing that has some sort of detail, has some sort of pattern? Can you tell where the poking was on this? Now, obviously I've left the poking here on the right on purpose to show you there was poking, but can you tell over here if there was any poking? Probably not. That's the power of Postwork. So when I turn this layer off, you'll see where the poking was there, right? So that was the before. Here's the after. Before, after. Now this bit here, I could probably do a better job here, over here, of the poking. In this case, I will probably go back because it's such a small area. I would probably go back and do a spot render just to fix that. But apart from that, you couldn't tell. So that's the power again of Postwork, saving time. It's like, well, here it is. I could go back and re-render this, but actually I can do it in Postwork and nobody will know the difference. You never knew that existed until I pointed it out to you. So again, time saving you time, very easy, using the tools provided inside Photoshop. If Paint.net has those tools, fantastic as well. You're saving time which can be used in other areas of your life, or even better used in DAZSTUDIO to create your next render, because the more renders you create, the better you get. The more you practice, the more progress you make. So now that you know the why, the when, and the how to using Postwork, I want you to consider using Postwork in your process. Take action right now. Go and download Paint.net, go and download GIMP, they're free, and go and start applying Postwork to your old renders and just renders you're creating right now and how amazing they're going to be. I want you to be excited. I want you to go and take action from this tutorial and start making those renders that you have even better using Postwork. So if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Also, don't forget to leave a comment down below as well, your thoughts on this video. Do you use Postwork? If you use Postwork, how do you use it? What software do you use? Will you be adding Postwork to your existing process? Let me know in the comments down below. And also don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any more great videos like this that are going to help you to create even better renders with DAZSTUDIO. And until the next video, always be learning.